Welcome everyone, thank you for joining. My name is Ben and I am the photographer behind Reno After Dark. And I wanted to walk you through in a point of view video what my process is while I'm shooting photos after the sun goes down in the biggest little city in the world. So thanks for joining. All right, well, so my walk starts off in a little different area. Instead of parking under the arch like normal, I parked here on the Lake Street Bridge. And these are my first two photos. And you know, usually the first couple photos on a photo walk or outing aren't my favorite. They're kind of like warm-up photos. And so you kind of got to get those creative juices flowing. So that's what these photos are. As I approach this intersection, a rollerblader comes out of nowhere. Wasn't really exactly prepared. That's one of the hard things about street photography is I feel like that you're always having to be prepared for the unexpected. So I got that shot. Thought that one turned out pretty well. And as I crossed the street here, I looked over and I saw this angle of City Hall that I don't normally see. So maybe that's where not finding my normal parking came in handy. I got an angle that I don't normally see. So this next photo was actually buying me time because I really wanted to shoot the employees inside the restaurant behind me. Unfortunately, when I turned around to shoot that photo, all three of them were looking up at me and it wasn't really the photo I wanted. So I decided to walk down towards City Plaza. The city had just recently put in some skateboarding features, and so I wanted to see if there was anything interesting going on in terms of skateboarders. As I approached, I didn't see anything really that was that visually interesting, so I decided to kind of keep moving. And as I looked back towards City Plaza, there was some artwork that they put out. It's the Big Believe sign. Those of you from Reno, I'm sure, are familiar with it. And I kind of like the way it was framed up with some of those skateboarding features and some people relaxing on it. So I got that shot. And decided to move towards Virginia Street, for those of you that are from Reno. Virginia is sort of the center of the action on weekends, and so this is where a lot of my street photography for Reno After Dark is concentrated. And as I'm getting ready to head northbound on Virginia towards the arch, I was kind of looking at this wedding chapel, and I've walked by this wedding chapel probably a couple hundred times over the last year, and it's never really jumped out at me as being very interesting, even though it is kind of a unique quirk or location for Reno. Reno kind of built its reputation on quickie marriages and quickie divorces. So this is something that is kind of uniquely Reno or uniquely Nevada. And as I was getting ready to cross the street here, I did notice that they had their limousine out front. So I thought that might add a little bit of extra interest or a little bit of an extra depth to the photo. So I decided to go ahead and take that photo. And I do like this photo and I do like this location because they have neons and color. I thought the limousine added a little bit of extra. I was hoping for the wedding party to come out, but unfortunately they didn't. I don't know if you noticed that red and blue flashing light. That's something that just started happening in the alleyways around the Nevadan Tower, the old Calneva Nevadan Tower, which is now a Siegel Suite property. And I don't know if that's like an officially sanctioned police thing or if that's just them throwing up security cameras and then adding some red and blue lights to it. I'm hoping it deters people from doing things they don't want around the building. If you know, go ahead and comment down below. I'm always on the lookout for skateboarders and one-wheelers just because they add motion and a lot of people like to kind of zoom up and down Virginia on these things. I like those photos. There's usually a light on the front of the one wheel, so it sort of adds a little bit of a visually interesting aspect to the photo. And that's one of the things I look for out here is shooting photos at night. I'm always looking for light, for color, for anything out of the ordinary, anything that's interesting. So this photo right here is interesting because it sort of highlights a little bit of a tension I have in my work at night. That photo is not necessarily interesting from a light and color perspective, but I do want to try and capture downtown Reno as sort of a capturing it in 2021. I recently found a folder of street photography that I did back in 2011, 12, and 13. And it's amazing how much things have changed, and I'm glad that I have that now as a record of how much it's changed. So when I'm out, I shoot interesting photos that I think artistically are very cool from a color and light perspective, but I also try and capture things in the moment, try and capture that historical record of what does Reno look like in 2021. I'm approaching a small gift shop. You might be wondering, what's so cool about this gift shop? It doesn't have like very interesting color. It doesn't seem like there's anything interesting going on with it. But this is something I have sort of liked, is this small gift shop. The front of the storefront is always lit up, even if it's closed. And it's sort of an interesting backdrop for who is downtown at a given time. So I like to capture a lot of the different types of people that are downtown and show the variety of whether it's families or couples or just single people or even local people walking around. This is sort of a cool cross-section of people you will find in downtown Reno. All right, so here you can see the arch in the distance I'm moving towards. Always fun things happening under the arch. But before I got there, this alleyway, I've shot it before and I've probably shot it a lot, but I'm always on the lookout for something a little bit different with it. Maybe something that makes a different photo than what I've gotten in the past. And here there was actually a car behind these people, and I liked the way that they were backlit. So from there, moving on down towards the arch and seeing if there was anything interesting going on. Now it's a little bit early in the evening. The arch doesn't seem to kind of get real interesting from a people perspective or an events perspective until a little bit later on. But I did find this glass on top of the garbage, and I've sort of joked, people that have done photo walks with me in the past, that the Row, which is Circus and El Dorado and Silver Legacies, they must spend a lot of money on glassware.
That is a metaphor for the city of Reno. A wine glass on a trash can. Right under the arch.
Right. Well, now that we've got this guy's commentary on the glass on top of the garbage, I decided to switch lenses. So I went from the 50mm f2, and I'm shooting Fujifilm, to the 18mm 1.4. I wanted to get a little bit more of that arch in the photo, and so I decided to shoot a little bit wider with that 18mm. And you notice with that wider field of view, I can get a little bit more of the Reno in there with the glass. And I sort of like that one better, but let me know down below, which one do you prefer? One of the things that I do when I'm out shooting street photos is, I think others have called it fishing. You sort of hang out in a central location looking for things that are interesting. And the arch is one of those places in downtown Reno where you can do a lot of street photography via the fishing method. Kind of park yourself off to the side, watch what's happening, watch what's going on, look for anything interesting, anything like that you think is cool. So this is one of the places I do that. But at this moment, I decided I wanted to head up this street here. This is commercial, for those of you from Reno. And just kind of see what's going on around the Whitney Peak and then go down Sierra. And if I'm being honest, the reason I wanted to go down Sierra is because I wanted to get something to eat at one of my favorite Mexican places downtown, and that's Antonio's.
I might get some lunch at some point. I'll give you that. Dude, why don't we do that?
Get that song out of your head right now.
of the interesting things about the Whitney Peak here is they opened up originally as Calm Row and eventually rebranded Whitney Peak, and they're a non-gambling, non-smoking resort in the middle of downtown. And I don't know that I love this shot. You let me know down in the comments what you think, but I liked that the fence gave a little bit of foreground, and then you had the individual and then the building behind them as the background. I try to look for photos like that where you have a little bit of foreground, subject, background, give it that depth, give it that interest. I don't know if I pulled it off here, but that's the thing with street photos. I sort of shoot, and then, with the mentality of take a look at it later, see if it came out. This is one of my favorite shots. There's just so much color. There's so much going on here. Decided while I had the wider 18mm on the camera to go ahead and shoot both landscape and portrait. A lot of colors, a lot of different building designs going on there. And as I'm walking down here, this is now Sierra. You'll notice I sort of slyly take a photo of this guy down in the middle, bottom of the frame. Got to keep it Reno. Decided didn't want to go into one of the casinos or hotels and use the restroom. So as I'm walking down Sierra, not really a whole lot going on. Usually there's more people on Sierra, but that's sort of how things go. Sometimes it's you've got a lot of things happening and a lot of photos you can take. Other times you got to get a little more creative and look at what's going on around you. So as I'm walking up to the entrance of this motel, I noticed this guy off to the left just standing there, and it was really kind of weird because he just stood there. And I didn't want to shoot the photo right away. I kind of wanted to see if he was going to start talking to somebody or something else was going to happen. So I decided to, again, buy myself a little time and shoot this photo that I don't necessarily care about, but I wanted to see what was going on with this guy over here in the driveway. And he was just standing there, not really doing anything. So to me, that sort of became an interesting photo. So I went ahead and took that. Well, I definitely appreciate you joining me on this photo walk, and I look forward to sharing more with you. Let me know down in the comments, did you like it? Did you not like it? And why? What are some of the things you liked? What are some of the things you didn't like? I get a lot of questions. What's my process? How do I shoot my photos? And I wanted to share that with you in video form. So definitely looking forward to your feedback, and can't wait for the next one.